Roughly 80 miles outside Tallahassee, a massive undertaking is underway to uncover American history that's been buried for more than 200 years.
It's a project that experts say is in its infancy, and will take years to complete. Our Katie Kaplan recently visited Prospect Bluff and is live in the studio now. Katie, some of our viewers might better know this area as Fort Gadsden.
Yeah, that's right, but that better known fort, not the first that was there, preceded by a large community of escaped slaves seeking refuge in what was then Spanish Florida. Now the search is on to learn more about how they survived, where their fallen are buried, and what to do next.
Just off the Apalachicola River sits a bluff that once served as a beacon of hope for many in the early 1800s.
Before the Underground Railroad ran north, it ran south.
Prospect Bluff, as it was known in 1814, served as a refuge in Spanish Florida, just outside the boundaries of early America.
They were trying to live free, right, even though they were still in the shadow of enslavement.
This particular part of history all but forgotten until 2018, when Hurricane Michael unleashed its fury, uprooting trees and buried artifacts tangled within their roots.
There's a musket ball and a gun flint.
Our cameras were there in the aftermath as a team of archaeologists rediscovered history.
That's a story that we really want to tell.
Flash forward to this hot and humid summer day in 2021. Archaeologists using science to continue to uncover the forgotten past.
In this area right here, we're already picking up the signatures of what are most likely graves.
The site considered to be of transcendent national importance in telling the story of America. But to understand its scope, you must understand the entire story.
History is great, recorded history, but it only tells you one side. And in this case, it's the side of the victor, of the Americans.
Most of what we know is about the later fort at this site, the American military's Fort Gadsden, built within the boundaries of a former 3-acre British fort.
You can see the outline. This is the larger British fort, the so-called Negro fort, right? This is the much smaller later American fort that was built on the site.
Very limited archaeological work has been done here, and it focused on only one part of a layered past. In 1961, a team from FSU looking into Fort Gadsden located the timbers of an original structure. But these photos, just about all that remain, most of their findings stored near the coast, lost in the wrath of Hurricane Kate in 1985. Whatever those findings were, they'd likely do very little to shine a light on the brave Maroons who lived here first, before it was American soil, and where the British established their fort in 1814.
It's still out there with the moat intact over there.
Letters archived in the Library of Congress mention hundreds of African descendants from Georgia and the Carolinas, and roughly 20 Native Americans living free for more than a year after the British left, and hint of an explosive plan to destroy it.
That side of the story is very easy to gloss over.
An 1816 cannon attack by American soldiers, ending hope for hundreds at Prospect Bluff.
Here on this site, we have what could be potentially the largest unmarked African-American cemetery or burial ground in Florida.
Today, a search for the possibility of a massive grave begins with a non-invasive technique, shooting radar waves into the ground and identifying areas where soil may have once been disturbed.
As I push it, you're going to see an image start coming along here.
Archaeologists also hoping to find the cemetery belonging to the long-lost village and other living spaces.
You have to have a degree of curiosity to wonder what happened to the people who did not leave a written record. And that's what archaeology is really great for, is accessing the histories of people who didn't write anything down.
The only way to do that will be to excavate, but it's a long and tedious process.
We have to be very careful about how we proceed, and when we do it, we have to do it in consultation with descendant communities, with Native American tribes.
A process they hope will help tell the entire story.
And the National Park Service says they plan to properly mark and memorialize any graves that they find without disturbing the souls who lie there. And clearly it's a bit hard to put all of that information just on one sign that might be there at the site. So they say they are envisioning one day redoing how the public has access to that site and any artifacts found there. So for example, this ginger beer bottle was found fully intact at the site. It dates from the early 1800s, and I want you to take a look at this. By using 3D scanning technology, they're able to give access to it. People up close and personal look at it. You can see the grooves in it. You can even take a look right inside of it. Pretty incredible. This gives access to classrooms across the U.S., even living rooms or TV studios. Pretty incredible. Back to you.
Wow.
Anywhere where people are curious and fascinated.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And we should mention the Prospect Bluff site has not reopened to the public following Hurricane Michael. They hope to do so sometime next year. Katie, thank you for that. And man, oh man, it's history that certainly needs to be unearthed.